Let's go. Here we go. Day 2. The World Cup. And we are the cow corner.
Hey, what's up?
We're going to look at day 2. We're trying to figure out the whole time zone thing and who's available when. So right now it's Prashant and Siddharth. We called our episode 9 was Great Escape for the heavyweights and stuff like that. And I was thinking about this. I said, what the heck? You feel as if all these matches are like super tight and really the upset is going to happen, but it doesn't happen. Like upset hasn't happened. So I looked at it this way. Okay, of those 3 matches that happened today, I genuinely feel the only one you could consider super close is England-Nepal, because the margin eventually was 4 runs. One swing of the bat, blah, blah, blah. I think that I can call as an upset that could have happened. It just went one way or the other, and we can figure out, what might have caused it to tip one way or the other. The other 2 matches, though, I looked at the margin. Okay. So if I look at the Sri Lanka-Ireland margin was 20 runs. Too many. Anytime the margin is 20 runs, it's not even a contest. In a T20, imagine it's 1 run per over difference. If you scored 1 run for 20 overs, that's 20 runs. That's big margin. I wouldn't call that match close at all. Interestingly, Afghanistan-New Zealand ran that total down with 17.5 overs. So if they had batted for 20 overs at that rate, they would have scored 209 runs. So then the difference between Afghanistan's score and New Zealand's score would have been, 27 runs. Not even close. So you feel some of those matches are close. In a T20 scope, 20 runs is too many runs. So I would say, all this semblance of these matches are super close is you got to be really careful. If it's a swing of a bat, then I would say close. Otherwise not. So the only match I thought that was really close was England-Nepal.
How can you boil down a match to something that can or can't happen to in one ball? I don't think that's true. The England-Nepal game ended close, but I would say the Sri Lanka-Ireland game was quite close throughout up until basically the last 6 overs of the match. Which maybe you count that as not a close game. I don't know.
Yeah, because here is why. Because that's, I think, is the difference between actually causing an upset versus not. And as we go through each match, I have some specific thoughts on what could have actually made a difference. Do you want to take the Afghanistan-New Zealand? Because last night we had made a call. I had said New Zealand is going to win. You had said whoever bats first wins, and Jatan had said Afghanistan would win. You were both wrong.
Of course, you're keeping score. Anyways, so New Zealand ended up beating Afghanistan yesterday. Afghanistan scored 182 for 6 in their 20 overs. Star of the show was the bowler, Gulbadi Naib, coming in at number 3 and going from a slower start of 18 of 16 to then 63 of 35. And he really exploded, took charge. It was great to see him out there with his big muscles, just slamming the bowlers down the ground all around the park.
Attractive batter in many ways, many different ways.
Yeah, brutish, I would say.
Yeah.
And then there are some good contributions down the order from Rasuli and, of course, the statesman Mohammad Nabi and Azmatullah Omarzai. So good batting performance by Afghanistan, but New Zealand came out all guns blazing. And this is when you see the class of top order batting and how you can just get ahead of the game and stay ahead of the game. And I think that's basically what New Zealand did. Tim Seifert, Glenn Phillips brought them ahead of the game, and they just didn't take their foot off the acceleration. There was a bit of a wobble at the top as Mujib had a double strike in his first over. back-to-back wickets of Finn Allen and then Rachin Ravindra on the first ball. So there was a little bit of wobble there, but most of the run chase, New Zealand looked in complete control.
Yeah, I mean, when I went to bed, I saw 17 or something for 2, and I said, that's really interesting. I said, okay, let me wake up in the middle of the night and look at the score because I have nothing else to do middle of the night. So, it seemed like a really clean win by New Zealand. But then there's always a little bit of drama. And if there is one thing that's happening for these teams that are not able to cause an upset, and honestly, to be fair, I don't think Afghanistan beating New Zealand would have been an upset. I agree with you.
It was like two even teams, it felt
correct.
like.
I agree with you. So wrong way to say it. But dropped catches. Again, I think Tim Stiford, he was dropped by Rashid Khan, I think, at some point.
Yeah,
Caught and
towards
bowled.
the end, though, I think.
Yeah, but, drop catch nonetheless. Like yesterday, we were talking about the match with Netherlands and Pakistan. A dropped catch has so much ramifications. The least of it is just is morale. Yeah, so it's interesting when Afghanistan scored 183, I think, right? 182, correct. So to win 183, we thought that's their bowling is their strength, and they should have managed to keep it together.
Defend. Their bowling at the death was actually quite average. They bowled 4 or 5 just absolute full tosses that were dispatched for 6. This guy Mujib, he's an off spinner. How can you bowl a full toss like at the thigh height as an off spinner, right? Like just some pretty basic errors by Afghanistan bowling at the death.
Yeah.
They kind of lost their composure. And actually, it was interesting to see because when Glenn Phillips got out, right, Rashid Khan took his wicket, he sledged him off the field.
Really?
You could see, he sledged him off the field like he told him to F off. Like, you could see, they had the camera on him, right? Obviously, he's celebrating, whatever. And he's, like, looking at Glenn Phillips, like, straight up and telling him to, like, F off. Like, yeah.
Wow. So fired up, but
then they lost their composure while bowling the death. The field placement, there were a lot of 4s, not just 6s. There were many, like, just 4s. Fielders weren't in the right places. I think they have the chip on their shoulder, but they also need to kind
calm
of
down,
relax and just play the sport. Yeah.
What's interesting is maybe a slight tangent, but in some players they can use sledging as their way to focus. Others actually lose their focus when they sledge. Yeah. If maybe that's not natural to them. Let's take a quick look at England-Nepal match, right? And yesterday we said, of course, England is going to easily win. I watched the last 2 or 3 overs of that chase, right? And because I was following the score, I wasn't actually watching. It was a little early in the morning for me. I was like, wow, they are actually going to pull it off, until they didn't. And what I realized is number 7, in a funny way, number 7 or 8 in a T20 lineup could be your crucial factor, because Will Jacks he came at number 7, so 5 down, number 6 and 7, right, are batting when you're 5 down. Half of your top or your lineup is gone. 6 and 7. Will Jacks was I think man of the match and all that, but he scored 30-40 runs of like 20 balls.
39 of 18, yeah.
Yeah. So number 7 seemed like an important role. And when Nepal was batting, Lokesh had to almost like farm the strike in the last 2 overs. You just can't do that. I mean, at that point, they were, 10 runs of the last over. So it's not like you needed somebody to hit 5 sixes. You need both ends firing. And I looked up the players who were on the other side. They seem to have decent averages in strike rate, but they couldn't get both ends firing. It almost felt like Lokesh was going to be like, oh, it's only me. That is hard. I think it's a tough thing to manage if you're saying I'm the only person, because you're not taking singles, you're not putting pressure. You're showing all your cards at that point. So it was a little bit I was like, maybe if they were firing on both sides, Karan and Wood would have had probably more pressure. Of course, they bowled beautifully, like all full Yorkers. They could easily become low full tosses. So all credit to England for eventually bringing the match. Executing, exactly. That's the right word. But I thought number 7, 8, if you are like legit hitters who can, on both sides, you can score runs, that could have made a difference for Nepal. Like for New Zealand, number 7 is Santner. I think played really well. Will Jacks for England. So it does, I think it makes a difference if 7 and 8 are like legit. For India, it's, Hardik, or I think Akshar comes number 7. You need legit after 5 down, both those batters to hit. So really close match.
This Jacob Bethel got going, so that's good to see.
Yeah. Yep. Harry Brooks scored.
Harry Brook, yeah, continuing his form. So
yeah.
Nepal, they started really hot, right? Kushal, Burdal, they tried to get ahead, right?
Yeah.
That can also be an equalizer in the power play. If you can score 60 runs in the power play chasing 180, that really puts you ahead of the game too. So
yeah, I like your phrase that says get ahead and stay ahead, right? Definitely. Yeah. You're not seeing too many runs scored in the power play, maybe because of the conditions. Talking about Sri Lanka, Ireland, I think the biggest culprit there was the number of catches Ireland dropped. I think they dropped like 6-7 catches. That is just the shame. I mean, Sri Lanka seemed like really vulnerable. Of course, they have really good bowlers, like crafty bowlers, Tikshna, like as the word says, Tikshna, like sharp Tikshna. So they have good bowling attack, but they're vulnerable. I mean, Ireland just didn't catch anything, it seems. They dropped a lot of catches. Yeah. So, and even though they kept it close initially, they kept losing wickets because I didn't see a traditional good batter. A lot of them were kind of swatters. A couple of them seemed really, somebody who could stay a little longer. You need 1 or 2 batters, right, who can bat for a bit of time.
We spoke that for Sri Lanka, the key to success would be whether their spinners would be able to take wickets, and both Tikshana and Hasranga had 3 wickets each. Although Hasranga picked up a hamstring injury that might, throw some doubt into his selection for the next couple matches. So something to keep an eye on. But both of them took 6 wickets altogether, and if Sri Lanka is going to win even these games, they're both going to need to play well and take wickets.
Just thinking out loud, of all the bowling attacks we have seen until now, and there are some we haven't seen, like Australia haven't played, Canada, number of South Africa hasn't played yet. Of all the bowling attack that we have seen so far, any specific take on which attacks are already fine-tuned and good to go, and which ones look a little weaker?
Yeah, so it's funny you say that, because I wanted to bring this up for the England part of this. Yeah. And I think the way Nepal took down Adil Rashid was actually very interesting, and that might maybe not play into the rest of their group, other than the West Indies game, potentially, now that West Indies looks in decent form.
Yeah.
England is looking a little shaky. England's bowling is looking like they don't have many wicket takers, honestly.
Yeah.
I think they're looking a little weak, honestly.
Yeah. Because I wrote down here on my cheat sheet, it says England's strong batting, bowling looks really weak. So I was curious about
there
that.
You go.
Yeah.
We were on the same page.
Yeah, exactly. So
other than England, I think Afghanistan's bowling, other than Mujib and Rashid Khan, looked a little bit weak as well. Mohammad Nabi also was quite expensive in this match.
Yeah.
Hopefully he bounces back. So yeah, those 2 bowling lineups were a little bit disappointing, I would say, from the last.
I mean, for India as such, Bumrah didn't play because he had fever or something. That's why he didn't play. But Arshdeep and he looked. Siraj is back, so I think Indian bowling attack looked fine. But I thought about that, about England and especially even Afghanistan. If they are defending 180 plus, you would think they're going to win that match, right? It's in Chennai, it's spinning track. They are all spinners, so very, very interesting. So, best bowling performance. I mean, I saw Sri Lanka Ireland match, so Tikshna seemed really good. England, I could say the Karan and Wood in the last 2-3 overs, they seemed like they got it together. That's what I got. So Sri Lankan spinners actually, especially Tikshna, he seemed to be bowling really well.
Yeah, so it's funny. I didn't actually watch any of these matches live. So I watched the highlights for them, like after the fact. And there was one guy that was briefly featured in the highlights, but as a bowler, that's kind of a good thing because that means you weren't hit for boundaries. And that's George Dockrell. Do you know what his figures were in the past match, Baba?
No.
From Ireland, 2 wickets, 4 overs, 17 runs.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's under 5, 4.25.
I'm trying to see if he had any boundaries in his overs, but I don't think he did. But
Wow.
he might have had maybe one boundary conceded over 4 overs. So I think for me that was the best. Those were the best bowling figures.
Nice.
But I think the Sri Lankan spinners did really well as well. Fair shot.
And we were trying to see how Tikshna actually bowls his delivery. It's kind of like a finger spinner with a wrist snap. Actually, very interesting way to bowl. I think as a batter,
Seifert.
Tim Seifert had a good knock. Harry Brook and the England top order, I think, scored enough. I don't know if I can call out. I mean, obviously Lokesh from Nepal actually almost won the match for them. So I have to. And he looked really locked in. Actually, if he had support on the other side, he would have been a standout winner for day 2.
Yeah, I mean, I think all those very fair. For me, I think Gulbuddin batted extremely, extremely well. And it was just fun to see him out there with those big muscles of his, just smacking the bowlers everywhere. I think we spoke about, scoring 200, how to score 200. I think his innings was very mature. Again, he started 18 of 16, but then he exploded to 63 of 35, right? So in the following 19 deliveries, he scored like 45 runs, essentially. So
change of gears.
Yeah, it's just about changing the gears. It's about getting in, set, seeing the ball well also, not just wasting, like showing good intent, supporting the other side, and then hitting sixes after that on these spinning tracks.
I thought about, believe it or not, MS Dhoni when you mentioned it that way. When Dhoni came on the scene long time ago, he used to, the legend goes that he was asked by, I think, John Wright, to just stay and play a certain number of balls without actually even trying to hit 7 or 8 ball. I think that's how the legend goes. And then you're in, and then you just, obviously it doesn't mean you just swing. You get in, and then you make the bowlers pay. Do you think it is, so I know baseball is a pitcher's game, right? So good pitching always trumps good batting. Maybe that's still true even in cricket, right? Even though I think bowling-wise, it's more forgiving, meaning you could have 1 or 2 wide balls and you're still okay as long as you take a wicket. But I think good bowling still would trump good batting. What do you think?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I think it depends. It all depends on the pitch. The issue is it just depends on the wicket. On a particular flat deck, even like the quickest bowler is going to get hit. And then, of course, like on turning tracks, it becomes more difficult for a batsman. So
that's true,
or
actually.
Or even more bouncy wickets.
But that's an interesting distinction, right, between baseball and cricket. The pitch matters.
Right, exactly.
Conditions matter a lot. So that's an interesting one because if the conditions are favorable, even an average bowler could become really difficult to hit. Oh, interesting. Like if you were to have a winning team, would you rather have a stronger bowling lineup?
Yeah,
if you had to
I think
pick?
That's the problem. Actually, you see this with associate sides. They have good bowlers, but they don't have good batsmen.
That is a good point.
So it is maybe easier to find effective bowlers given the conditions aren't super like batter friendly. But it's much harder to find consistent batsmen. Like it's bad when when your best batsman gets out in the first 5 overs, but you also want your best batsman to see the most number of deliveries. So you need to have enough batsmen so that you could do that, right?
Yeah, yeah. No, that's an interesting actually observation, Siddharth, that a lot of these associate teams, they bowl well. You're right. They fine.
Yeah.
Because I'm not saying bowling is easy, but technique wise, to build good batting technique and become a good batter is
Hand-eye
probably
coordination, reaction time. There's no reacting in bowling really. It's just explosive. It's extremely explosive, and you can build that in the gym. And you have to, of course, you have to have a certain body type and all that stuff. There is a precision aspect to it, though, for sure.
Yeah, but you have the control, so to say, right? Because you are starting the action.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, good point. Okay. This is part 2.
What a couple of days it has been.
Jatan coming up for air, so to say, has awakened. So during the day, Siddharth and we had a conversation about all 3 matches, and Siddharth right now is sort of enjoying the Super Bowl, which is actually, funnily speaking, was a defense game. If any one of you care about, I think many of you might be caring about Super Bowl. That's where a good defense actually totally dominated offense. So, and by the way, just for our listeners, just to use the common jargon, like, subscribe, feedback, reviews. Where we lose you, if we do, hopefully not. What are you liking? Give us all. So Jatan, the thing we would like to hear from you is, during all these 3 matches, any what the heckish kind of moments, or anything that pop for you.
A few.
Yeah, so let's go.
Few. Yeah, 3 really good games. Slightly disappointed with how the Afghanistan-New Zealand game panned out. Afghanistan gave a lot of promise, had 2 early wickets in the New Zealand chase, but then at the end of the day, I think New Zealand were just probably better practiced in these conditions and on these pitches. So for me, a slight what the heck here is like Afghanistan bowlers not really keeping a tight leash on New Zealand. I mean, I was very disappointed. What the heck? I'm really disappointed with us, Afghanistan bowlers. They just couldn't keep the leash, right? I mean, Chennai was their best chance. Though I do think that maybe the pitch was slightly different. Probably had some pace to it. So New Zealand's pacers were also involved. But they also dropped Noor, which I was very surprised.
Yeah.
Noor is a CSK guy, right? And Chennai is their home, right? So I wasn't. Again, I didn't read any literature towards it, if there were any interviews about why he was dropped, so I'm not sure. But yeah, I mean, maybe too many spinners could be the reason. Though, of course, if you have to drop anybody between Rashid, Noor, and the Mujib, so that probably Noor stays away. But still, I would have wanted him in, especially with his CSK experience, with his Chennai experience. I think he might be the most experienced guy in the team playing on that ground. But anyway, whatever the thought process, even with Rashid and Mujib of course did well, no doubt about that. But overall, right, they couldn't keep that grip on. Right? Nabi giving 18 runs in an over, they're not able to just take the help from the pitch and subdue the New Zealand batsmen. Of course, New Zealand batsmen had the experience. They played 5 really grueling matches against probably the best team in the world right now. So that would have helped. Just their confidence while they were batting was really good. But I was disappointed with Afghanistan. I mean, they would be disappointed with themselves. They should have made a match of it. 183 was, I think, defendable on the pitch. With the artillery they had, right? So yeah.
And I called it, by the way. Both you and Siddharth were wrong. I mean, your points were valid, though. I mean, jokes apart, your points were valid. They scored 182, and that's definitely for them. Yeah, you don't expect.
Yeah, you don't expect Afghanistan to score 250s. I mean, their batting is not that explosive. But that's what, right? Their batters gave them a score which should have been defended. 180 is not 140, right? You have 40, 50 runs additional to play with. And yeah, the bowlers pretty much disappointing. I was very unhappy with how they were bowling.
So Rashid Khan, I was looking at his figures, right, little bit, because he's like, he has been in all-time T20 teams and all that, like considered all-time greatest of them all, right? As such, it's debatable, but whatever.
At least modern grade.
Correct. And his like 9 runs and over, his career economy is like 6 point something. So, it's kind of, it was interesting.
I know. Like, he was also like, I don't know if he's in the best frame of mind. I mean, taking wickets and then giving send-offs, speaking to the batsman once the batsman got out. I mean, he's beyond that. Why is he doing all of that?
Yeah.
I mean, I think when he got out, Seifert out, sure, Seifert had hit him, clobbered him for a couple of sixes in the previous over, but still, I mean, come on, you're beyond that, right? So I didn't like overall. Maybe they just trying too hard. And New Zealand were probably just on autopilot, seems like. They were not even trying hard to make the runs, and they just got there. Glenn Phillips, 42 in 25. Even Mark Chapman coming and hitting a few blows. Daryl Mitchell was doing Daryl Mitchell things. So yeah, I mean, it seemed like Afghanistan was trying too hard and New Zealand was just on autopilot. So which means New Zealand has really they've announced themselves that they're going to be hard to beat here, I feel. A really all-round performance by New Zealand.
I remember when we were discussing the practice series, you had called India-New Zealand high-octane series, right? And that's what I think it makes sense that they were like fully prepped and ready. It didn't matter they lost 4-1, who cares? But they were like fully prepped.
They were prepped. Even after losing the first 2 wickets, they were there. They never thought they were going to lose it the way they were batting. So yeah, great. Good for New Zealand. Unhappy with how Afghanistan's game panned out. Hopefully they come back stronger, win the next. I mean, the game with South Africa becomes very important.
Yep.
Though it's in Ahmedabad, but you never know. Maybe they'll come back. But yeah, I'm pretty disappointed with their performance. All right, moving to I believe the best game of the tournament so far, England Nepal.
Yep.
Why are we not playing Nepal more often? I mean, why are they still clubbed with the associates? I mean, some of the players, I was watching them for the first time. Sure, again, at the end of it, they kind of lost their way. So obviously, we all know, right? Nepal lost by just 4 runs, chasing a pretty decent 184 again, which England defended and Afghanistan couldn't. But anyway, of course, the opposition was very different. But still, the way at one point, Irie and Podell, their captain Rohit Podell, were playing, it seemed that they'll make it, right? And then that guy Lokesh hit a few, and then they needed 10 runs of the last over. And Karan bowled a great over. So what the heck here is like, why are they not playing better teams, right? Why are they still in associates? I mean, maybe they're still in associate, but there should be more T20 tournaments or bilateral series. Them playing their neighbors, right? Them playing at least Bangladesh or Sri Lanka or India or even Pakistan, right? I think they are there. I think they are really well prepared. Nepal gave a scare to England, which we thought would be probably one of the easier games for England. And I think Harry Brook was really worried. At the end of it, I think he thought they have lost it. It was only Karan's spectacular bowling and even with him, right? It was a day game, so they didn't have the dew issue, which is very important. I think we don't really discuss the dew much, because had Karan bowled the last over in the third game, they would have lost. There's no way he would have gripped the ball as well as he could to bowl the balls that he bowled right in the last over. So maybe it wouldn't have reached the last over the way these guys were batting. So Karan had the grip. Of course, he delivered, no doubt. I mean, defending 10 runs in the end against a guy Lokesh who's already made 30 odd runs in like 10-15 balls was anyway hard, and he delivered it, no doubt, nothing taking away from him. But with no dew, it was possible, right? Had this been the third game, this would have been very, very different.
So one thing is, I do remember when Nepal and West Indies played, right? So they did win that series, and for me at that point, I was like, wow, West Indies is even losing to Nepal. Now I would be very careful before making statements like that, right? Because you make an assumption that, oh, it's Nepal. Like what do they know?
Yeah, because I don't blame you. I don't blame myself. We haven't seen them enough.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, let's be honest. We don't get into too many associate games, right? They sometimes are not even telecast. It's hard to follow all the cricket that's happening, even in the full member nations. So we don't get into it. We should. I mean, I kind of follow a Ranji Trophy more than the associates games because I want to see what's the next big thing in the Indian cricket, right? Because I follow them. But yeah, I mean, this was a team which bowled really well, reasonably restricted. I mean, if the last over of the England team innings didn't go for 20, they were looking at 170 odd, right? That guy Will Jacks hit a few, and I again thought that it was a mistake to have the fast bowlers bowl the last 2 overs. Sure, Brook got out, but the last over went for what, 24 runs or something, or 20 runs. I think Airy was bowling really well. He was not bowled out. I don't know why. And even Bhurtel was okay. He actually bowled out, but I think 1 over of Airy, right, should have been bowled, and that would have meant that one less bowler, because England players were just struggling with spin. So that was kind of a mistake there. But even after that, right, 184, I think overall Nepal bowled well, and then while batting, the kind of confidence, even Bhurtel was batting at the start, right, and then Paudel and Dipendra, they were like, they were not overawed by the occasion. They're like the newer Indian batsmen or bowlers who play the IPL, and then when they are playing and they're in their first international game, they're just almost as experienced, or they're not overawed, right? And I saw the same thing with Nepal. I'm really happy with how they played. So really looking forward to their next games. Why don't they play the bigger nations more? And maybe this World Cup will change that.
Yeah. That's the exposure. And then the third one was Sri Lanka, Ireland. Do you have any there?
Yeah. What the heck? How can Ireland drop so many catches?
Yeah.
I mean, they have been good with fielding, right? I do remember them, even when they won against their games against England in the earlier ODI World Cup and all of that, right? They have always, I think they also beat Pakistan in the 2007 World Cup. Who can forget that? They've always prided themselves on their fielding. And I did see some of the parts of that game, and yeah, they just dropped too many catches. Sri Lanka were 104-5 for 3-4 wickets, but at the end of 16 overs, and then letting them get to whatever 163 odd, right, was, they scored 60 runs on that pitch, on a Colombo pitch, in the last 4 overs, like in 4 overs 60 runs, I think. Yeah, and I think because they did drop a lot of. I think in the 16th over there was a catch dropped. Early up in the innings, I think there were 4 catches dropped. Couple of misjudged chances.
Yeah,
6-7 blunders are just.
You could have a 5-minute highlights of just drop catches.
just the drop catches.
Yeah.
So
there were a lot of them.
Eventually the game petered out into a very one-sided game. Could have been much better if Sri Lanka were 140. Instead of 163, and they could have restricted them with only being 100 in the 16th over and taking their catches. It was a story of what could have been again here. The India game, Surya's catch was dropped, changed the game. Fahim's catch in Pakistan game. So one catch can change the game so much, and here they're dropping like a bunch
in
of
buckets.
them. Yeah, in buckets with a team like Ireland, which pride themselves, who pride themselves, right, on good fielding. So it was very unfortunate. I'm sure that nobody does it by, obviously,
intentionally.
They don't do it deliberately.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It seems like as if this World Cup has been going on for such a long time and just been 2 days. So much storyline. You feel an upset is going to happen, but it hasn't. So, which is another little annoying thing. Like, come on, like there could have been, at least Nepal beating England was definitely a possibility.
They were there.
Yeah.
So I was just thinking about this, right? So we have had now 3 games where the associate team has come really close to doing something, right? So I'm seeing a pattern here, and again, it's probably just that maybe when the rubber meets the road at that point, they are not able to just take that one step to kind of win the game or whatever. And that is where probably the difference is between an associate team right now
Mm-hmm.
and a full member team. The dropped catch with Fahim's dropped catch,
Yeah.
Surya's dropped catch, and then the last over batting, making 10 runs in the last over. That one more boundary in the last over,
Yeah.
Lokesh could have hit. So I think they need is a bit of a luck and some more experience playing full member nation.
Makes sense.
I really feel that these guys, right, the Netherlands been around for a while, but like Nepal should really be helped by giving them more exposure. I think they have a really good core group of people. Rohit, their captain, is a young guy who probably has 10 more years in front of him.
Yeah.
Even same with Dipendra, right? And of course, I mean, the spinner who's probably one of the best in the world right now, Sandeep. He has his off-field issues, but when we talk about purely on cricketing terms, he's a wizard. So they have a really strong core, and this is when they have to be encouraged. So I really feel that there is just very small gap between these associates. They almost got these three teams, man. It could have easily been Netherlands, USA, and Nepal having 2 points, and India, Pakistan, and England having 0 points. Really,
that would have been
and I wish one of it would have happened.
Yeah,
and that just tells us that they just need more exposure. They just need to play the full member teams more often. I think we have gotten this thing about full member versus non-full member. I mean, that's too much. I mean, we don't play a series with USA at all. Why not? Right? We don't play a series with our neighbors, Nepal, at all. Why not? No bilateral series.
Yeah.
Why not? Sure, we have a full calendar, but I mean, maybe a two-game T20 series, right? Or a one-game.
Or second, no, send India's
A team. Yeah,
A-team.
Why not? Maybe.
They're equally good.
Yeah.
Anyway, so cool.
I think they might beat the A team.
I mean, what will be interesting to see is Scotland-Italy match, see how that goes, because Scotland was the last drop-in, so to say, that made the team because Bangladesh situation. So again, maybe the day 3 is a little bit to take a breather, but then, every time we say that, we realize something crazy is going to happen. So we'll find out, and we'll try to dial in again. We'll try to figure out, as I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, between Jatan, Siddharth, and I, we are juggling different time zones again, but we want to actually talk about the every day as much as possible, and exactly what Jatan brought right here is give associate nations more exposure. Come on, don't be scared of them. Don't. I mean, let's give them some opportunity, because you know what they got.
In the longer formats, associates teams which are not that strong have less of a chance, right?
Yeah.
But with T20, that's not the case anymore.
Correct. And
had Barrington stayed for a couple of more overs, Scotland could have surprised West Indies. So it's
I think one of our
close.
earlier episodes we had talked about how shorter formats have created a bit of a parity, which is good. I mean, that's how cricket has evolved. So I guess we'll try again definitely tomorrow. And just to reiterate, just give us any likes, subscribe, give us any feedback. Really appreciate you listening to us. So it's again still 3 of us right now, Jatan and I, and then Jatan, Siddharth, and Prashant. And this is the Cow Corner, episode 10.
All right, see you guys.
Peace out.
Peace out.
This episode was produced by Mukta, Phatak. Music by Joe Reynolds.